This is by far and away one of the most unique, most profound moments in my career of being behind the wheel of really serious machinery. I've never experienced anything like it, performance-wise, transmission-wise, speed-wise.
And yeah, on to today's topic, I guess, the Chimera.
In all my time filming, driving and discovering the best cars in the world, this is quite possibly the most profound automotive moment I have ever experienced. The Chimera is based on an Agera RS, but that's where it stops, because underneath is the 1600 horsepower engine from a Jesko, the suspension from a Agera, and importantly, the transmission from a CC850. Only this car has it as paddle shifters too, making it a 6-speed H-pattern manual, a 9-speed automatic, or a Jesko style paddle shift actuated light-speed transmission from a Jesko, all in one car.
So Chimera is apparently has a meaning, a two-headed animal. Maybe this is two-headed or three-headed, I'm not sure, but it very much is and looks like an Agera RS, and that's how this started out life. It belongs to Mohammed bin Sulayem, and he's had it in Dubai for a couple of years. And 3 years ago, about exactly 3 years ago, he contacted us and said he wanted to make a special project with the car. And that was about the time when we had started to develop the CC850 idea with the shifter. And we kind of proposed the idea that his car could get a very unique one-off system for an Agera RS and become part of the development program for the CC850. It turned out to be much more elaborate than we had thought. So it took much longer, and it was so much more intricate to do this kind of marriage and fusing, especially since we were developing the technology in parallel. And the motivation for us is we got one more car to test the system early on that we would not have had otherwise. And of course for him, he gets something unobtainable that will never ever happen again. Because it's just like heart surgery on a very elaborate level.
Sure. So just to contextualize this then, so this is an Agera RS with Jesko engine, CC850 transmission and running gear.
There's a lot of special components as well,
Sure.
but we tried to use as much as we had to make it work for his needs of creating a unique car and for our needs to get it driving as soon as possible, to test and develop the shifting system together with this brute of a car. That it's funny if you look at the license plate in Swedish, brute.
Very
which
cool.
kind of suitable. So that was the first step. This was the second step, and then the CC850 is the last step of the development of this system.
My eyes just clocked something interesting, and I don't know if this is Agera componentry, but CC850. And it's so wild seeing that open-gated shifter in this chassis. But CC850 with that transmission doesn't have paddles on the collar.
Exactly.
So can you change with the paddles as well?
Yes.
Are you kidding me?
We're
Man,
not
wow, that's... So okay, let me just get this thing right. So this is an H-pattern manual.
Yes.
That you can utilize the automatic functionality as you can in CC850.
Yes.
But you can also do paddle shift as you can in Jesko.
Yes. And yes, because that's what it had from the beginning, right?
Right. What sort of development, like in terms of, I'm assuming this has been years in the work?
3 years.
3 years. Before we dive under the skin of it and find out what's going on under there, because I'm sure that's very fascinating, is there any way of sort of top line contextualizing how extreme the development journey of this was?
So I would say it's maybe less than 50% left of the mechanics of the Agera RS underneath the skin, maybe less than 50% of the electronics, maybe less than 50% of the wiring harness. So it's a matter of finding what we have, see how they can marry together, and then creating the new link in between. And that link is usually, first figuring out what works together or not, and then linking everything. That's key. So it's a lot of software, a lot of functional safety involved, of course, because you need to make sure everything is as safe as a production car. So it's like a super elaborate project. It goes through the same testing procedure as our big programs because it's going out on the road. That is a massive amount of work, kind of back office kind of stuff that
Speaking
you don't
of
see on the surface.
Back office, let's look at this. I mean, I can't even imagine what this looks like under here. Oh, wow. It's so strange seeing a Jesko subframe in the back of an RS, of an Agera. That's so strange. Wow.
But then you still have the Agera airbox, which has never sat over this type of subframe. Yeah, and this is Jesko.
Yeah.
This is Agera.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Okay. It's like you've done a real mid-journey AI and gone, can I have a bit of this Agera and a bit of this Jesko and a bit of this Agera, make this like ultimate Koenigsegg, right?
But in IRL.
Yeah, but in IRL.
Bit more headache.
Yeah.
And what's pretty cool then, so the LST transmission needs its cooler, which is slightly different than what we had before. In the Jesko and CC850 is down below here, but there was no space there. So we managed to reinvent the hood to make a new passage for that cooler you see from here.
Yeah.
This is new.
Wow.
Or special for this. And it became really great because you have an entrance point there and here. And Matthias and his development team, they kind of designed this in a very quick, efficient way by CADing it up, 3D printing it, and then we went old school and put tufts on it and went out in the airfield and saw that all tufts went in perfectly and kind of did some measurements. Yeah, nailed it. So no simulation there. Just old school
so good.
Wool tufts. And of course, so the triplex and the shock absorbers are much further back in the Jesko than in the Agera RS. So we were kind of, I mean, if we wouldn't have fitted, we would have had need to change something, but we were lucky when we took this kind of layout and mixing and matching things, that's where they ended up. And luckily, it didn't hit this hole, but it became kind of beautiful.
It became a feature.
It became a feature, so that's kind of out of coincidence.
It sort of happened to land like that.
Yes, and we didn't have to cut the bodywork.
That's convenient.
Exactly.
Just seeing a Lightspeed transmission in this shape is so weird.
Exactly.
It's incredible.
So here, compared to other Ageras, then the engine is further forward and further down, and the gearbox is shorter, and it's got 1,600 horsepower.
Okay, so it's the full fat. It's not the mildly down tuned.
No, so since it is a Jesko engine and not a CC850 engine, it's got more power, but it's got the bigger turbos. So what we can notice is that when in the higher gears, unless you shift very, very fast, you can get a little bit of drop in boost, and then it builds up again. So it's a little bit old school.
It's a bit old school.
Which is pretty cool, like an old F40
or something.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that you don't have in the CC850, which is good for the CC850, but it makes this more brutal, I guess.
Wow, it's going to be an absolute animal, isn't it? So as far as power to weight goes, this is probably your best so far, right?
It must be, yes.
It must be.
Yes, must be. Oh, yeah.
And you can drive it like this and like this.
Yes.
You can drive it paddles or auto or manual. Click-clack, open-gated box.
You can try it.
That's a sentence I never expected to hear. That's pretty ridiculous. The actual exhaust itself. Yeah. So on the one-to-one, it was the tip. Yes. That was 3D printed, and this is the actual exhaust is 3D printed. Yes. And is that titanium?
I mean, up to this point.
Up to where?
Up to here, where the cat starts. And then, of course, this is 3D printed as well.
And honestly, every time I come here, I think, where are they going to go? You know, what's possibly next? I don't know how you do it. It's totally nuts. And what's unique on the interior? It's obviously Agera-centric, but is there any? You've obviously had to create the open-gated linkage. Must be bespoke to this.
So there's platform. Absolutely,
right.
And it's completely bespoke. If you look at a CC850, it looks different. There are some similarities with the shifter knob and the gate itself, but the rest is all different. And what's funny is the Agera RS had one cup holder, where, and we're always talking about cup holders.
Yeah. It's one heated and cooled?
No, exactly, no. But anyway, now we put a shifter back, so that cup holder disappeared, but due to the mechanism of the shifter is more focused underneath it instead of going back, suddenly there was space in the tunnel behind it, so we could slot 2 cup holders by fitting the shifter instead of one.
So good. It's the componentry that you would sort of almost dream and joke about with friends. Or wouldn't it be great if?
Right.
Wouldn't it be great if, can you imagine if they put that transmission from the CC850?
I think that's what Mohammed thought.
And then you've taken it up a notch, but the paddles as well. I mean, that's,
yes, I mean they were there, so we said we talked to
Yeah.
our software team. Sorry, do you think you can? Oh, really? Yeah. Oh, really? Okay, we can try. And then, yeah, okay. They could patch it together and then do all the functional safety and everything to make sure everything works seamlessly together.
It's like three transmission experiences in one.
You can choose whatever you want.
Literally.
Yeah.
The Chimera. Okay, that's about as wild a project as I've ever seen out of here. So, and that's saying something. So there's no doubt you're going to get people asking about. Oh, can I put the flappy paddles on my? It's a big. Yeah.
So exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I guess.
Let's see how it goes.
Yeah. that one is not a technical impossibility, of course.
Okay.
So
Cool.
let's see what the flavor
Let's
is.
see how it goes.
Should it be like the puristic idea of manual and with the auto function, or should we add the flavor of?
Add the flavor.
It is not
Yes.
impossible. Of
Sure.
course.
Or
So
do you save it for later on and see where it goes?
let's see.
You know.
Let's see.
Yeah.
But what I can say is,
Yeah.
we're not doing this again.
No, hell no. I can. Yeah, I bet. You know, he's.
Because I guess we might get. Oh, I want to do it.
Oh, I'd like
don't
to do
even
that.
think
Don't
about
even
it.
think about it.
Should we
All
try
right.
it?
Yeah, yeah. That's unbelievable. Yeah, I didn't expect to be doing this. Right. So in front of me, I have 3 pedals, an open-gated manual, and this is a 6-speed. Technically, what's available to me.
exactly.
That is, and paddle shifters, and this is connected to a full-fat Jesko engine with a light-speed transmission, but with the CC850 switchgear, as it were.
Very similar, yes.
This might sound silly, but just drive it as a manual.
Just drive it as manual. I will not tell you to do
It's-
anything special.
That's unbelievable. The open, I mean, the linkage is just interacting with pure jewelry, isn't it?
It is something we're very proud of. It's all there for mechanical reasons, but it's also executed in a beautiful way.
Right, here we go.
Here we
Moment
go.
of truth.
See if you stole it.
Yeah, off we go. Well, we're good. That's cool.
Spotters freaking out.
I mean, the funny thing is they have absolutely no idea what this is. You know what I mean?
And I think the steps between the ratios are completely natural.
Yes. I mean, again, it's funny separating what you know versus what you're feeling.
Right.
If you hadn't have told me about the ratio skips that were actually happening,
Right.
you just take it as it was, right? And so, I mean, it's still, while we're calling them gears, we're still swapping clutch sets here.
Yes. I
Right.
mean, you have 3 times 3 clutches you're using, so every gear is using a pair of clutches compounding into a ratio.
Yes.
So you're not moving cogs around or forks.
Sure.
You're activating gear sets or not through clutches.
Yes. That's so crazy, mate.
But you're still clutching, so
Yes.
clutch pedal makes full sense. Choice of gear ratio makes full sense. So it's a natural extension of that
Natural
technology.
thing. We're in manual mode now. When I say manual, I mean literal clutch manual H-pattern box. And if we want to, so I can put this into...
Yeah, you have to push it down and then you can put it into
in the
drive.
middle here, push it in, and then it's in drive. I can't tell you how strange it is as a subconscious feeling to see in my peripheral vision a manual gearbox and it to be shifting automatically for me. That
Exactly.
is so profound. It's the weirdest feeling.
Back to manual.
Back to manual. When you have it there and you see it, I'm finding, even though I have this option and the auto, I'm going straight for the manual.
Manual.
It's really
that's
interesting.
a good sign,
It's
right?
really interesting. But yeah, absolutely right. If it didn't feel right, you wouldn't.
Exactly.
Honestly, it's the wildest experience. Oh, dude, the rev match on the downshift, that is it.
We're going to make a slider so you can choose none, a little bit more and more. So you have the choice of rev match in a slider, how much you want.
Really?
That's coming in the CC850 and also
Okay. Well, so you can dictate how much throttle is required to rev match, or it'll help you.
You
It'll
can
assist it.
choose that it's none,
Okay.
or you slide it up so it will rev match, blip it a little bit, or blip it a lot.
Okay.
And you have a slider choice.
So that in itself is making how much of the manual rev matching you're doing or not.
Exactly, correct.
That's unbelievable. Because in other systems which sort of rev match for you, it's on or off.
Exactly.
And honestly, the ones that I've
it's
found,
either too much or too little or too
exactly.
slow.
The calibration's never been right. It doesn't feel natural.
The good thing about this, we have electrifying fast response when we want.
Of course.
So you can go boom, like
Bang,
this.
just spool it up.
We kind of reduce the virtual mass at that point.
That is so crazy. So you can program in multiple scenarios, right?
Yes, absolutely. And in track mode, actually, we have different gear ratios in the slots. So you usually only use the first gear,
Yes.
getting out of the pits. So
Okay.
you won't burn your hydraulic clutches, especially not when you use it so little. So
Yes.
the first slot is third gear. And then you jump on, and then you have a very tight set of higher gears for the track.
So you can virtually swap ratios for the driving environment.
Exactly, it does.
That's ridiculous.
And our software guys are having fun. They even want to make a menu where, with some restrictions, you can choose a bit yourself for different modes. So you can't choose anything stupid, but I prefer
Sure.
this ratio in this slot than that.
Wow.
And then you have the presets, of course.
So it's not beyond the realms of possibility, at least, not necessarily an option, but you could say, I'm going to be driving Spa. Maybe this gear.
When I go into this slot, I prefer kind of from here to there to that
Yes.
gear ratio instead. So I will change that.
I will change that.
Yes, correct.
That's cool. That's really cool. That blip downshift rev match is so sick. This is so profound. It's unbelievable. If I want to change on the paddles now.
Yes, you go to neutral, push it down, put it in drive.
Okay, so neutral down,
Push it
drive. Okay, and now in auto.
Now you're in auto. Now you can override with paddles.
So now I'm into paddle shift.
Yes.
Are you kidding me?
That's
So
it.
now we're in a Jesko.
Kind of.
I have never experienced anything like this. It's so ridiculous. I'm like, I've just gone
And you
from
have
a
a
CC850
7-second
to a
override, but you
Jesko.
can also push here to hold it the manual all the time.
So now this will be permanent manual.
Now I put it permanent.
Very cool.
Otherwise,
Okay.
it's a 7-second override.
Okay. I don't know what to say, Christian.
Now you have
It's-
all the 9 gears, of course.
Right, so we've just gone from a 6-pattern box to a 9-speed
Correct.
paddle or a 9-speed auto.
Exactly.
Do you realise what we've made here? Like, do you actually realise? I mean, it is the sort of unicorn componentry of dreams, right? You know?
Our objective is, we're very close now.
Yes.
And before start of production of CC850 in October, our objective is no one can distinguish that it's not mechanically manual connected to a traditional manual gearbox.
Do you know what's
Then
really,
everything is sugar on top.
Do you know what's really funny? I'm sorry to interrupt. I've just changed down to stop here on the paddles and I've pushed the clutch in.
Well, you might
That's
as well
now
just go back
manual
to manual.
gearbox now. That's unbelievable. So just for some context here, we've just stopped at a roundabout and I've gone from being in a Jesko to a CC850.
Something like that.
Something like that, right? Do you know what? This is a very interesting moment of self-observation because you literally have every option available
Yeah.
to you.
And you
yes,
instinctively go to manual.
I'm going to manual, which both says a lot about how well you've calibrated the car and the feeling, because it feels like a manual, but also I have this option to me here and I'm still going for the manual. That's
and the
really
pan shift
interesting.
is really, really good.
It's really, really good. You're definitely going to have emails from CC850 people going, please, sir.
Yeah, so
Can I have this?
I mean, after experiencing this, we're kind of thinking maybe we should.
Yeah,
We have the software now,
sure.
and it's just that extra layer of excitement. So
I mean, you know, even if you were to make it an optional extra, why wouldn't
Yeah,
you?
we
Like
could do that.
everyone would probably want it, because why wouldn't you?
You cannot have options on the CC850, but maybe you could have
comes as
that.
is, right? Yeah, maybe. That'd be cool, right?
Yeah.
I remember when we filmed the video, when you first introed me to the gearbox on C850, and I remember that melted the internet. This is gonna do it again. This is a whole different world. I love that. That to me is I don't know what it took for you to calibrate that, but that is really quite serious. From a driving point of view, it's the most complete experience because you have it all, right?
And you can take the roof off.
And you can take the roof off, of course.
So you have a convertible as well.
Of course.
Coupe convertible, all in one.
Oh man.
I mean, this engine is such a marvel combination of perfect tractability and a total fizzy fast monster when you want it to be. It's just that I've never experienced anything that can combine the two like that.
Those two things.
And it has to do with, of course, no flywheel.
Yes.
And a lot of power and good tuning.
What sort of engineering is required on the no flywheel side of things? Because surely that created some it's complications.
It's if you would ask any engine tuner or like calibrators, like remove the flywheel and clutch, do you have no? When you put a big flywheel on something,
yes,
it just slows everything down.
Calms everything down.
Yeah,
right?
and here there's none of that. Whatever you do is instant reaction.
Yeah.
So you have to be much faster in your software.
Okay.
And also put in these software dampening effects, so it's not just frantic. And no one has ever done it before to this level. So there are light flywheels, and if you take a normal car and remove mass from the crank, you have issues unless you reprogram the car.
Sure.
So to just remove it completely, it's just taking that to 11, I guess. I mean, there are some race cars with tiny
fly,
but they're always kind of on the boil.
Sure.
They don't have to trundle around the city.
No, and NVH isn't an issue. I'm slightly obsessed with jumping between these two things, so I can just knock it back into.
Yeah, absolutely.
Take it out, and I can put it into neutral, and it'll rev.
Yes, absolutely. You can do
neutral
that.
Now. Oh my god, the pickup of that engine is unbelievable. Wow, this is highly cool. I like that. The pickup under downshift is unbelievable. I think you want to change gear for no reason other than just to change gear.
Exactly.
You know, I mean that's so cool. The pickup is. It's almost like a superbike in neutral.
Right. Exactly.
The spring loading of the shift mechanism as well, it naturally guides you through the gate.
Yes.
You're not trying to find it.
We've actually, if you look at the fingers, we kind of
they're profiled, aren't they? I think one of the things is because it picks up so fast, you straight away think of it as naturally aspirated.
Yeah.
But then you have all the turbo in the background and all of the torque that comes with the turbo.
Right.
As well, right? So it's a fascinating blend. So how does CC850 compare to the manual experience that I'm having here?
It's very similar.
It's very similar.
Software is at the same stage.
Software similar.
Yeah, it's and the mechanism inside is of course the same.
And throttle pickup in neutral is all very similar.
It's just the turbos that are different.
Right.
That's it.
I know I'm changing gear for no reason at all, but it's just so amazing. It's
you don't dread the gear change.
No, not at all. I think what got to be the best feeling is the blip between the downshifts. That's ridiculous. That is so fast. It's effortless. You're breathing on the throttle, right?
Right.
But it's just explosive. That overrun is savage. Goodness gracious. Are you kidding me? What is this machine? Just incredible. Just incredible. Seamless transition. I conveniently found myself on Koenigsegg's test strip, aka somewhat of a repurposed runway. And Koenigsegg have gone and filled this up with the special juice, the E85 Ultra Ethanol Mega Juice, to unlock all 1600 horsepower from the Jesko derived V8. We're in manual. Oh my god! Have you heard it? Oh wow! It's got. Not only has it got thunderous overrun, but this has different turbo profile to the likes of a Jesko, and it's got this old school, like, imagine a modern F40 with 1600 horsepower. What? Are you kidding me? Listen to the downshifts. Are you ready? Have you heard how fast it spools up? Whoa! I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. The throttle response is unlike anything. Obviously in Jesko, you feel it, but in this, because you're depressing the clutch and able to rev match, you can feel that total lack of inertia because there's no flywheel. So it spins up and it revs under rev matching downshifts like nothing else. I mean, just listen to this. Are you kidding me? What is that? By the grace of Sweden, what on earth have you created? It's mildly intimidating, actually. So I'm in a very fortunate position to have spent quite a bit of seat time in a Koenigsegg Jesko. This has the same amount of 1600 horsepower in development right now. The inertia is so light, like the car is so light. Do you know what that feels like? Absolutely organ rearrangingly ridiculous. Oh my god, the torque! The torque! What a machine! We are running on a Michelin Pilot Sport Cup 2. Now, it's not the full fat track bias R, however, as I'm sure you can tell by the disproportionate precipitation outside, they're doing a remarkable job of providing traction. All 1600 horsepower of it down to an incredibly wet runway. How is it doing that? I don't know, but Michelin have been working with Koenigsegg for the best part of 20 years. So they're very well versed together in applying power to tarmac. Are you serious with that? Cars are never going to be the same again after today. Everything is boring. Everyone else go home. This is done. Game over. Nil point. Koenigsegg 1. Everybody else 0. Goodness gracious. What a contraption. Oh, whoa. This is what hypercars should be. Pure theatre. Oozes of engagement and loads of confidence. Ah, dear me. Here, of course, is where things get really quite profound, because if I do this, I'm in automatic now. That's a totally new gearbox experience. Totally in auto. We're in ninth gear all of a sudden. So we've gone to a high revving manual 3-pedal arrangement down here, rev matching, experiencing that totally weightless flywheel experience. And now we're driving around in what is effectively like a sort of around town hyper Gran Turismo. Look, that's not, look, everything's doing everything on its own now. Now then, what I can do is override it on the paddles. Now this is where things get totally unique. So I'm going to downshift on these paddles, and I'm going to put it into manual hold on the dash here. So that's totally now in my hands on the paddles. I still have a clutch on my left leg, which, because I've got a gear stick in my peripheral vision, I want to depress. This is by far and away one of the most unique, most profound moments in my career of being behind the wheel of really serious machinery. I've never experienced anything like it, performance-wise, transmission-wise, speed-wise. where do we go from here? Like, this is it, game over. The problem is, you can't actually buy one. So I don't know where they go from here, but this is a miraculous moment in automotive history. We're effectively driving 3 transmissions here in the same car, back to back. Look at that, I've pulled up, and even though I'm on auto paddle shift, I've depressed the clutch because there is one, and there's a gear stick in my view. So now I want to put it into conventional neutral, which I don't need to do, but I have. The distinction is, the mode we're in now is the closest experience that you're going to get to a Jesko, because it's on the paddle shift. Then I can put it back into automatic here, and then we have the best of both worlds of the CC850, the manual and the auto. And then I can dip the clutch and put it into the H-pattern 6-speed box, which is creating 6 speeds from a 9-speed compound clutch transmission. What a time to be alive! Are you kidding me? Back to manual. One of the quite interesting observations I made about maybe myself as much as the car is that out on the road I was driving it in manual 80% of the time, and I found that an interesting prospect with something with this much horsepower, that my preference on the road was manual. But what a phenomenal privilege to be able to go, do you know what, at the flick of a switch I quite fancy driving a sort of Jesko experience. And so you do, like this. Now we're into, for want of a better word, paddle shift Jesko mode. And off you go. I mean, in what world? It's monumental. My head's gonna hit the pillow tonight. A, going, did today actually happen? And B, going, how incredibly lucky do I feel to be in this seat, to be able to share it with you. So a massive congratulations and thanks to Mohammed bin Sulayem for allowing me to drive his incredibly, when I say one of one, entirely bespoke and entirely unique Agera Chimera. And a massive thank you and congratulations to Koenigsegg, as what you've achieved is yet again, with every new innovation and product which I seem to be fortunate enough to share with you, I'm utterly and thoroughly blown away by it. So thank you, Mohammed, thank you, Christian, congratulations, Koenigsegg team. You have created a truly profound driving experience, and I honestly believe a special moment in automotive history.